Welcome, welcome, everybody. We're going to be starting very soon, so hang tight. Alrighty, here we are. We're back with Jaws to do another super awesome deep dive. Today we have Harrison Drake, a senior mechanical engineer with Stern Pinball. You know him from Avengers, Infinity Quest, and Godzilla, Jurassic Park, Iron Maiden. Definitely part of Keith's team, and they make amazing stuff together. And we are located in Lynn's Arcade in Seaside, California. And right above us is Michael Matson, Dry374 on Twitch, and the legendary, what did you call him? Master Technician, Matthew Talley.
Mr. T.
Co-owner of
Go
Lynn's
get
Arcade.
him, Mr. T.
Yeah, so thanks for joining us, everyone. This is awesome.
Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah,
Glad to be here.
it's going to be fun.
So Harrison, we've all been playing Jaws Premium for the past few weeks. We brought it to Texas Pinball Festival last month, 11 of them, and we're bringing 11 more this weekend to Midwest Gaming Classic. And the mechs are just amazing. There's lots of new stuff going on, and we want to hear all about it.
Yeah, so I had a ton of fun to work on this game. This is the 6th game I think I've done with Keith. 6th at Stern. So, you know, we're really in a groove at this point, right? Knowing how to work together, knowing what each other wants, and trying to make the best possible games we can. So, so it sucks I couldn't be in Texas. I had some other obligations that weekend, but I hope everyone down there enjoyed it, and everyone that's got one is having a blast. So.
We are definitely having a blast here.
Yeah, this has been this game is at the center of the arcade, and it's always being played from what I've seen. So we're having fun with it. Yeah. Have you always been working with on Keith's design team? You mentioned this was his 6th game, so you've been on that team from the start.
Yeah. So myself, Rick, Keith, we're all kind of hired right basically within 2-3 months of each other back in 2017. Obviously Keith's hiring story is pretty well known with Archer coming in. So Rick and I were kind of hired to be the other 2 core members of that game team to turn that into Iron Maiden. And since then, we've never really looked back. So it's, we went right into Jurassic. And then that turned into kind of a 3-year stint of Jurassic, Avengers, and then Godzilla. And then for a little bit there, I went over to Mr. Danger's team to work on Foo Fighters before jumping back over to help on Bond 60. And then eventually handed Foo Fighters off to Mr. Eddie Hicks, when I went up and spun out Jaws back with my home on Team L1. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, kind of been super involved in a lot of things, but it's been a blast.
All right, yeah, totally. Now I understand who does all the work at Stern. Good to know.
I won't say that. We got a good crew over there.
Yeah.
I think we're up to 7 of us now. So.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It's great.
Do you have
There's 7 engineers.
do you have a favorite game out of all the games that you've helped design?
So that would definitely fill 2020. Yeah.
Right, for sure.
That's awesome. Yeah, so in one of the promos that Stern did a while ago, George Gomez talked about the Monster team that you're a part of.
I guess so.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, like, what's your favorite movie monster of all time, like between Godzilla and Jaws, and what else is out there? Like, is there an interest of you for you in general? Or?
Out of games, I don't really know how it just kind of ended up that we're kind of the monster team. But out of all the games we've done, I mean, the Jaws shark is so iconic.
Yeah.
It's hard to not pick that one. Keith and I have spitballed this too, but kind of my favorite movie monster, and I think Keith can sort of agree on this one's actually like the Cloverfield monster, like that found footage one.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
I don't think Stern would ever
scary.
do that. I don't think Stern would ever do that, but that one, if we're really the monster team, I want that one.
Oh man, that is like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Yeah, I love the whole mecha kaiju thing, and like Cloverfield is like at the top. That's like the top of the crop of them all.
Yeah. So I think that fits right into our stable of licenses. So
it does not.
I gotta send my monthly harassment email to Seth to try to get that one greenlit. But
yeah. Oh man, you got my head spinning now.
Yeah.
Right. That's awesome.
So do we want to dive into looking at these awesome mechs? Let's kind of go through, like, can you name all like the main mechs we would be seeing on this game? And then maybe too, try if you want to grab the handheld camera, we can kind of show them on the playfield as well.
Yeah, sure. Got it here right now.
This one, sweet.
Yeah. So
what are we looking at first?
Yeah, so I think the one to really start on is that shark fin. That's kind of the main toy of the game. We're good.
Yeah.
Kind of the centerpiece of the game, right? It's the one we had to carry over to Pro.
Yeah, I don't think we.
It's.
You need to send her. Yeah.
You can't hear?
No. Shit.
Sorry,
you can't hear us?
Hold on, Michael's can't hear.
Oh.
What channel are you on? Look.
Hold on, tech issues. This is like the camera work in Cloverfield where it's all like that fountain.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Now I can hear you again. I was pushing my buttons while I was brushing up against the cabinet here.
Oh, hate when that happens.
All right, so we're looking at the chum line.
The chum line,
shark fin is kind of what Keith and I called it. So that was like the very first thing that Keith kind of pitched to me on the game was, it's sort of the obvious Jaws mech, right? It's you need a fin on the water, right? Like we didn't do that in the pool as a kid, so we wanted to bring that into the pinball machine, and that was the very first thing we set off on. Obviously there's a little bit of prior art out there of stuff like Dracula on Monster Bash or the infamous mech on a stick, right?
Make on a stick
those are
is
some,
great.
yeah. So what was different about this one though, right, is it's not always about the playfield. So there was a little bit of some thinking we had to do there on how to make effectively a roving pop-up stand-up target. So we just kind of started there, right? So one of my main inspirations for this thing, I mean, the actual arm mechanism is not that crazy. But one of the main inspirations I was looking at was actually the Cactus Canyon pop-up drop targets. So a lot of people think those are actually like, you know, if you don't see under the hood, right, you think they're actually a two-coil mechanism, right? A pop-up, a latch, and then a release. But kind of the magic of that dropped-up target was, you know, when the coil's fired, that's actually what raises it. And you're not moving the target around, you're moving the ledge. So we took that and kind of translated that into what a stand-up target version of that mechanism would look like. And ended up bolting that onto what effectively is a derivative of, you know, the Dracula or Mick Jagger or any of those other, you know, roving target mechanisms.
Right.
The other, you know, other big thing we wanted to do was give some sort of chumming effect on the game. You know, a lot of different ways to do that, whether it's through lighting or mostly lighting, right? Or inserts or something along those lines. But we've done the sort of plastic insert window in playfields before, mostly for mini playfields. But while we were developing this, George was right in the process of launching Bond with his, I forgot what the exact name for it is, over on the left side on Bond, where they had that arted insert plastic. Keith and I saw that and started kind of taking that and working on what that would look like lit, and eventually developed the full 7 RGB, you know, progressive, gigantic playfield insert.
Like a
so
big
between
bean.
that, yeah, it looks like a big kidney bean. Yeah, we discussed doing some organic shapes to kind of blend it in more, but once you get into wood movement, stuff like that becomes really hard to actually pull off successfully. So we ended up with the kidney bean shape. I think it does a job. Michael and the crew did a wonderful job blending that into the rest of the playfield art. So it's not quite so kidney in your face, but it's still, you know, a unique lighting element.
Yeah, the lighting element is one of the coolest things to see that.
Yeah,
walls turning red and stuff.
Yeah, watching the water just slowly fill with blood.
Yeah, I mean, we love that. We love that so much that you know, that became one of the LE speaker ring features. That was like the first thing we added on the LE speaker rings was tying the chum line progress to the LED ring progress.
Oh, very cool.
Just to kind of slowly make the game turn more and more red as you play it.
Wow,
So.
yeah, it's beautiful. It's always so scary when I didn't realize when I first played it at CES, I didn't know there was going to be a drop target fin popping up. So when that activated, I screamed because it was so exciting. And it's just like that. It gets your heart beating like you need to hit it, like that moving target.
Yeah,
the call outs, the build up of the music and everything is just.
Yeah, the way Keith and Rick wrote that into the rules really makes it you know, a more tense moment than I think it looks like, you know, feels like at first glance, right?
Right.
With how often it's popping up and how randomly it's popping up.
Well, and then when you get onto like barrel 2, where it doesn't do the up post and it just sends it to your flipper and you have to like shoot at it quickly, it's just so intense.
Yeah, it's a very quick reaction time required for that. So.
Yeah, do you want to pull up the CAD images so we can look and see how you guys put it together?
There's an AI button on Zoom now. That's new.
Ooh.
I just noticed. I don't know what that does. All right. I'm up.
Okay. Yep, we see you. I'll make a few adjustments. So, Michael, you can rest your.
Yeah, I'm resting my arms now. They're all started to shake.
Yeah, so this is the 3D model. So I mean, when we do CAD models for games, it's full detail, right? It's every screw, it's every washer. The drawings are dictating, you know, Loctite, lubrication, stuff like that. So they're fully detailed models. But this is where we ended up with the Jaws mech. So kind of like I was describing earlier, it's kind of a two-part mech, right? This is sort of how you'd see it on the game. We've got our motor-driven arm, right, with our 7 positional optos that line up to essentially what the player is interacting with on the game. If that makes sense.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we can kind of cross-section this just to get a...
We definitely want to talk about the choice of materials on the drop target itself. I heard on the initial podcast that it was on recycled aerospace carbon fiber or something.
Yeah. So,
and how did that come into play? How who came up with that idea?
I kind of mentioned this on the podcast, but for those that didn't hear, when you do a slit in the playfield, right, that's usually not a good thing on a pinball machine, right?
No.
That's inherently an airball risk, right? And the bigger that slot is, the bigger you are at risk for ball traps, the more likely you are for, wood movement to create some ramping effects. It's just kind of a high risk thing to do in a game. So my main objective was to basically take what a stand-up target would be and make that as thin as possible. So a normal stand-up target route is about 5/8 of an inch deep. So that's for the target face, the switch travel movement, the actual backstop that eventually stops the target, so you don't just break the loose switch off. And clearance for all, everything to go through the playfield. Obviously, a 5/8 wide slot through the middle of your game is a really bad thing, right? That's a pretty big ball trap. It's a pretty big match. So all the engineering effort was spent, and I'm going to open up this separately. And there's the manual.
But the good thing is it's not wood, right? So it won't chip the paint or anything like that, right? Because this plastic is pretty sturdy, right? It won't chip.
It's a second surface arted polycarbonate piece. So
yeah, that's what I figured.
Art's not actually on the ball contacting surface. It's much more impact resistant. It's much harder than wood would be. But yeah, most of the magic is in this stack. So Keith really liked the kinetics.
Okay, so we drink to our legs.
I keep leaning on the...
Yeah, it's my fault.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. So, Keith really liked the kinetics of the stand-up target, right? That quick reactive, switch that's flying back to the player.
Yeah.
So my goal, right, was to set out and make this thing basically just a big leaf switch target. So we ended up with this offsetting target face that kind of moves it back to thin up the target. As well as a reinforcement support on the rear contact. So this gap is at the ideal thickness for when that deflects. It is the minimum travel, but still guarantees contact. Importantly, a regular stand-up target has a metal reinforcing bracket behind it to eventually stop and absorb all the energy. If I'm trying to go and make a thinner stand-up target, I need to make that backstop thinner. So we actually started out with this being a piece of steel, just a regular flat piece, 16 gauge steel, stainless cold roll. We tried a bunch of things, but eventually after, a surprisingly few amount of hits without the reinforcing flanges, that would eventually bend and yield over and it wouldn't drop back through the playfield. So, after that, I was like, okay, what's stiffer yet still a little cost affordable? So we ended up looking at some higher grade aluminums that ended up not being hard enough for a pinball environment because the ball is ridiculously hard.
Yeah, aluminum bend for sure.
Yeah, so surprisingly, you can actually get stiffer aluminums than mild steels.
Oh, really?
You pay for it, right? The 2000s and the 7000 series, but still wasn't enough. So we ended up going to. I found this place just to try it, on a whim, right? I found this place that will do low volume run, custom carbon fiber cuts. So I designed up this little tongue depressor shape, sent it out to him, got quotes, ended up getting parts in, tried it on a game, and the thing was perfect, right? Perfect energy absorption, high rigidity, low risk of plastic deformation. It basically checked every box we needed in that mechanism. And then on top of it, and I mentioned this in the podcast, I find out that the company I quoted it at is actually making these out of basically recycled or reclaimed carbon fiber sheets in the aerospace industry. So aerospace, much tougher, stringent industry than pinball, right?
Yeah. But this must be a pinball first, right? I mean, nobody's used carbon fiber in a pinball machine before, I'm sure.
As far as I'm aware, it's a first, yeah. So what these guys do, so carbon fiber in aerospace, right? If you can't send air bubbles up into vacuum because it'll end up exploding.
Oh,
right. So a lot of this carbon fiber is either it's like rejected from SpaceX or Boeing or GE, those sorts of companies for not meeting their quality standards.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is you can't actually really recycle carbon fiber. So, pinball is a perfect pipeline for that. That material to end up in our game. So, I mean, not only did it check basically every performance box we needed on our games, but it also ended up, recycling this very difficult to deal with material from a much larger industry. So it's kind of a win across the board. So as far as I'm aware, yeah, this is the first fully carbon fiber part on a pinball machine, especially in a functional role. I'm sure somebody's done it like decorative armor or something, but.
And then you were saying, like, I was just noticing we were fiddling with this drop target underneath the playfield. It doesn't actually lock into place. It's the coil that's holding it up the whole time.
Yeah. So spike system has a lot of flexibility. And we dedicated one of our high frequency drives to make sure we can hold this coil up. It's into a down post assembly to get some better, more efficient holding power on the mechanism. So effectively, this acts like the cactus canyon drop targets, just with a stand-up target instead.
Whoa, that's rad.
Very cool. So some of the few things and we dealt with this at TPF, and Kyle was able to just adjust the screws on the chum line plastic piece. People have been getting some air balls, but I think that's kind of what you would need to do, because that fixed it for us when we were at TPF. But have you heard of that, Harrison? And do you have any suggestions from your end on what we should tweak?
Yeah, so
if we start seeing that?
Yeah, Kyle and I have actually had that discussion here, and the advice he gave everyone at TPF is exactly the advice I've given at the factory about. Basically, the crux is you don't want any leading sharp 90-degree edges, right? You want it slightly ramped up playfield. We do that. So basically what that means is the front edge needs to be slightly below the wood, and the back edge needs to be slightly above the wood, just to make sure you never hit a sharp corner. That's the exact advice we give to our factory. That's how they've been instructed to do it. I think what a lot of people that are having this issue are seeing is actually wood movement. So we built these games in January in Chicago, so it's super dry here, right? And pinball's inherently on an organic medium, right? It is wood. It is real plywood, right? So when you build them when it's 30 degrees outside, 10% relative humidity, and then you ship them to Texas or Florida or Australia or anywhere, right? That organic medium is going to climatize to the environment it's actually being used in. So a perfectly adjusted thing on the factory, by the time it gets down to Brazil in the summer, probably not going to line up. So
right.
That's why we designed this. All of our plastic inserts are like this. Multiple leveling screws to make sure it's dialed into what your specific game is doing at any specific time. This won't necessarily be a one and done, just because seasons change, temperatures change, humidity changes. But part of that came into how we were designing the mech. So this bottom steel plate is screwed in all the way around everywhere we can to kind of stabilize the wood as best we can. This isn't unfamiliar to pinball.
Yeah, we had to do some minor adjustments. I was noticing it yesterday, and it's super easy. It's just loosening screws just a little bit and making sure that this isn't.
You know,
have a lip on it.
What's the preferred medium for playfields? It's got its pluses, it's got its minuses, but you know, doing the best we can to make it serviceable and adjustable and, you know, easy for the you know, the operator or homeowner that ends up with these games.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it seems like a pretty simple tweak.
Yeah.
Yeah. On a similar note too, we've also the down post also has leveling, right? So once you go in and level the plastic to your playfield, you can then level your shark fin to the plastic, right? So there's just a single downstop post here with a lock nut. Ideally, right, you don't want this actually level to the top of the game. You want this slightly below, just to completely eliminate that. If you end up going too far, you end up, this target ends up going under the front lip and then it doesn't pop up. So kind of the sweet spot is roughly 50% of the way through the slot at rest is what we instructed people to do.
Yeah, because you have the ball going in there, right? So you have the ball kind of.
Yeah, and you don't want to create a ball trap, right? Like,
no.
You know, the wood moves, the plastic moves, the mech moves. To make sure the ball doesn't sit there, you know, you do have to pay attention to your adjustments, and we tried to give everyone every knob they possibly could need to make sure it plays right.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, that's great. Sweet, awesome. Do you guys want to move on to the next mech? Where do we want to go?
Chat's asking what beer I'm drinking. This is LaCroix. Don't worry.
I got Red Bull.
Yeah,
I'm drinking water.
I don't have beer yet, and that's later.
No, it's too early.
it's only 4:30 in Chicago.
Only 2:40 here, but when
5
we're
o'clock
done,
in half an hour for you, then. So I guess.
Where do we want to go? Want to go shark?
Do we want to look at the
Spinners?
shark or the
bucket?
mini playfield, the chum bucket, or? So, are you allowed to talk about how bad the ball-eating shark was, the prototype that you had, or no?
I think I said what needed to be said in the podcast.
Yeah.
I'll go with. It was pretty ugly. It didn't look like a shark. There was no way Universal was going for it, and frankly, it sucked. So we cut it. Right?
Yeah.
That's it, right?
That's the end of the story. All right, you're here. Yeah.
It makes so much more sense for the shark, for Jaws to not eat the ball, though. Like, the ball is the weapon to attack him.
Yeah.
I buy the argument both ways, but you know, having built it and shot it, played it, it's not what this game needed, so we didn't do it. Right?
No,
I think, you know, when I say that's what, like, Keith and I really know, we have a pretty good track record of games, but you know, that's one of those ones that comes up that it's like day one idea. Oh, shark eats the ball, and by the time you actually build it, you're like, yeah, maybe not. So,
Yeah.
you know, if you're not willing to kill you have to kill your darlings, right, to make the best possible game instead of just, you know, do the first thing that pops in your head. So,
Right.
give it.
This is probably objectively the better solution for the shark. That's I cannot trust everyone's judgment here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so show us what's going on with it.
Yeah, so this thing, obviously this thing started as a ball-eating shark, right? So I was actually trying to find that mechanism to show you guys, but I cannot find the cat anymore.
Oh.
So
Delete, never existed.
it's somewhere. It does exist. I didn't completely believe it, but
Keith in the chat says shark hat scoop.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? So I think we came up with a much more elegant solution, much more robust solution, much more reliable solution, and it's a full shark head, right? So the actual mechanism is pretty straightforward. 4-bar linkage, so we've got a little motor here that spins a crank, pushes this whole platform up into position. And then when this is up in position, we've got our actual bass target. So there's a hinge down here, single screw. This whole shark plate assembly kind of tilts backwards to activate the switch. The switch here, one important thing, there's a lot of internal discussion about optos, mechanical switches, magnetic switches, and really the right answer is the thing that's right for the application, right? So in this case, a mechanical leaf switch does let us wire it into an inverted state, right? So when the mech's not triggered, not being hit, it's in an open position, right? We can do that, just by using the other contacts. And importantly, all of the bash energy is going away from the micro switch, right? I think a lot of people's first instinct is to say, oh, a switch, I need to push it, right, to activate it. But they also work the other way. I can release a switch to activate it.
Oh,
wow. So that's how this mech was designed. So when you actually trigger the switch plate, your ball impact energy gets transferred into the main like target lift bracket and out of the micro switch. So we're not putting all of the impact energy into a relatively sensitive component. So that was kind of a key design constraint there. Funny story on this. Yeah, so this hood is kind of a funny story. So the boat mechanism predated this shark mechanism existing. And there's kind of a whole story of what the boat was before this, but I initially had these horns going over the shark head to poke up the boat. And after a couple weeks of looking at those things, it started turning into an Austin Powers freaking shark with freaking laser beams thing. It just looks so stupid. And George comes in one day. And looks at that thing and is like, "You really gonna do this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I guess not."
When he asks you a question like that, it makes you think of all your life choices.
Yeah. So and I initially done those because it was easy and got the whitelist for programmers, but we ended up doing this welded frame with decals that I think just it ended up looking cleaner. It got rid of the frickin' shark with frickin' laser beams joke. And, it ended up being much better, but so yeah, that's just a statically mounted arm back here to the lift plate. So that all comes up as one big assembly, and then the shark moves inside it.
Yeah, since we have the shark on the screen here, I'm curious. Do you work on the sculpts as well, like the shark and the barrels and the boat?
So it depends. So generally, my specialty is more in hard surface modeling, right? As a mechanical engineer, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah.
So, stuff that can be easily defined by CAD geometry and dimensions, I'll typically do. So I did the barrels, right? So that barrel is based on a real blow molded barrel, which means it was designed to be injection molded, which means I can do it in CAD.
Oh yeah.
So I did the barrel designs. I did the chum bucket, right? That's a very defined shape. Stuff like the shark, where it's organic and non-geometric. That's stuff that we'll send to outside sculpting vendors or inside sculpting vendors, depending on the game, depending on resources. And then, so this is actually a prime example of where the line ends up being. I can open up. This is the actual. Going to. Yeah, so this is the shark file. But the stuff that I'll receive, from our outside sculpting vendors, is. I'm rolling this back right now. These are big files, so it takes a little bit to rebuild. Yeah, so I'll receive something like this, right? So this is all the organic surfaces. It's the gills of the shark, the mouth, the teeth, the look.
Oh yeah.
Right, and then I'll go in and do all the hard surface modeling that puts in mounting holes and positions and clearance cuts and stuff like that to actually interface it to the mech. So you can kind of get a feel for the A/B of where the art and the engineering kind of meet on these mechs. So this is a very similar process to Jurassic Park T-Rex, right?
Oh yeah.
I'll give them mech interfaces and critical points. They'll do an organic sculpt around that, and then I'll go in, take that organic sculpt, add all the hard surface edits, add the tooling features, and then build out. Actually create the tooling model. So this is the tooling model. This is what they cut steel to.
That's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about using the right tool for the right job, right? So, if I went in and tried to do, there's some hilarious. I can assure you, there are some hilarious sculpts of engineers trying to do some really organic models just to fake something for SolidWorks.
Yeah.
My personal favorite one is the big buck hunter deer, because those deers were like a pre-existing toy, and it kind of predates 3D scanning technology. So there's a fake deer that exists on the Stern network, and let me tell you, it's seen some stuff. It's got like some googly eyes, and the cat is nuts. It's hilarious.
Awesome.
So
we got a big bug hunter here. Maybe we can do a deep dive on that next.
Yeah, man, that toy is like nightmare fuel in SolidWorks. So
yeah, working on that mech is not fun.
No comment there. But now with the more modern tech and 3D scanning and the ZBrush tools, Blender, stuff like that, it's a lot easier to work with like actual CAD, like real part accurate digital models of the toys, just to get clearances and all that figured out.
So did you do the little boat on top of the shark as well, or?
So I actually did do that one.
It looks really clean.
Jury's out that was the right choice, but it does look like a ski boat.
Yeah.
So I know there's been a lot of Sopranos comparisons. I will point out this is actually injection molded. This is not a vacuum form like Sopranos. So we're one step up, but I wouldn't be shocked if the mod community comes out with something pretty sweet for this thing. So.
Yeah, it feels really sturdy. The plastic here doesn't feel like it's some cheap plexiglass.
Yeah, it's a proper polycarbonate ABS blend. It's nice and impact resistant, high molding, detail capable. So I think for what it is, I think it came out pretty good. So.
Yeah, for sure.
When I took it apart at Texas to re-ring it, I was super confused about how the ball stayed in there, because it's not the rubbers; it's actually that metal bar.
Yeah. So it's kind of an old school, like EM almost style captive ball mechanism. Yeah. It's these custom steel posts that are attached through, and then just a ring that gets captured between the plate and the optical brackets back here. There's actually no fasteners holding this in. It's just like geometrically locked in position, which I think came out pretty clean and it's easy to assemble. So
it was easy to take apart. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, it's like the crocodile on Nip It, if you play that game.
Oh yeah.
that grabs the ball.
Yeah, it's even easier on Pro because it's really just these two nuts up front, and then cover comes off and you get them there to clean, test switches, whatever you need to do. So I think this came out pretty good. So originally this was, I don't know if we've discussed this publicly yet, but the original concept for this was like an optical vary target. I believe Bad Cats was his inspiration on that, where you kind of hit a plunger back some distance. And then we're gonna do a kinetic sailboat type thing there. It kind of sucked, similar to the shark. You got to try stuff to learn about it. So we ended up, kind of reimagining what that mech could be, and that's where we settled on this multi-target captive ball situation.
Kind of a neat idea with those optos up there.
Yeah. I mean, so it's maybe I can show the secret sauce here. Yeah, so it's actually just there's like 3 brake beams, right? So left, right, center. And then off the emitter board, we've got the LEDs that light up through the decal. So there's just a hole in the steel under here, and it just lights up a target decal in the back for the three arrows.
That's
That's an effect they did on. Greg and Tom did that on Elvira for the house windows. So we just kind of stole that. That's actually exactly how the billboard on the backhand works as well. It's just decal material over a hole with the splatters behind it.
Crazy.
Yeah, I didn't realize.
Yeah, I guess you find all these little small, neat hacks or shortcuts that look really good as you kind of work with the materials and all the parameters that you have in pinball. I mean, everything, like you say, have to be impact resistant and
yeah, it's a product that inherently destroys itself, right? It's a steel ball flying around inside a wooden box, right? At the end of the day,
It's like 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know about that much, but maybe hyperball, but
yeah.
But it's you do have to take into consideration that this is a relatively violent product, right, to itself. So material selection, being conscious of ball contact surfaces, all that sort of thing is critical to making sure this is a product that stays together. So
for sure. Do you have any influence on like where all these like toys end up in the game, or is that just the designer kind of put his foot down? I want the shark here, and that's final. Make it work.
I would say so. I can't speak for all game teams, but for Keith and I think the way to look at it is like macro vision versus micro detail execution, right? So Keith will do a lot of, I want a shot here that goes here, it goes, a ramp that feeds from this spot to that spot. I need a shark that pops up roughly in this area. I need a building with these sorts of floors, that sort of conversation.
Yeah.
And as far as the like to the thousandth of an inch dimensions, where the rings are, where the mounting is, that's on my side.
Yeah. Understood.
Keith handles vision. Like a ball guy on a Keith CAD is like, the flow geometry arc of I need it to start here, I want it to end here, the ramp goes roughly here. And then everything past that, how thick it is, where the mounts are, where the spikes are, how many mounts, that's on my side.
Understood. Yeah.
So it's like, I mean, how many, like, where the holes are in a plastic to mount it, like the designer doesn't really care about it as long as it's not going through a character's face or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So for me to have that control, this means we work that much more efficiently because I don't have to sit there and fight with them over a spade bolt location, right? Like he doesn't really care.
No.
So it makes my job easier and it's less for him to worry about.
Yeah. Understood. It's just like his vision needs to meet the practicality of implementing.
Yeah,
I guess.
I think historically people looked at game design as like really playfield design. And like the engineer is the drafter, but it's not really that dynamic anymore to be efficient at this job, right? You need to have, like, the game designer needs to look at the game, right? The rules, the communication to the player, the interaction, the flow, the geometry, the setups, and the engineer can worry about the execution and the hardcore nitty-gritty details of pulling off that vision, not necessarily just putting together some engineering prints for a vendor to go make. That's part of the job too, but the line of engineer versus game designer shifted much closer towards the game designer does the game, the engineer does the playfield. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's also like it must be a very like smooth process for you guys if you're like on your sixth game together now. You kind of you should have you have like you know how each other work, right? So you know that all right, Keith got an idea and Keith has a handle on roughly what you've been doing historically, right?
I think part of that comes, Keith and I. Keith's been in pinball forever. Keith's only been in game design and like game production really like professionally the same time I have. And same with Rick, right? So the three of us kind of all learned to work our own system to make our own games. That I think is ultimately, really efficient and iterative, and fun. So.
Yeah. So like you mentioned being in pinball there. So how long have you been like in pinball? What's your pinball story? That's kind of what I'm curious about. Everybody got one.
much shorter than people would expect. So I had never touched a machine until I started at Stern.
Oh my!
Wow. Never touched it. I mean, never. Right. I started in June of 2017. My job before that was at Navistar, making. This is going to sound real exciting. The panels that cover gas tanks on semis. Real exciting stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a jump. Quite a leap.
Yeah. So I was admittedly super bored in that job.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Yeah, and I so for fun I do competitive robotics, and I've done that since I was on the team in high school. Came into I'm now running the team. And Elliot Eisman, one of the other Stern engineers, is also involved in that program. So, we're working together on our 2017 robot, and I'm just like obviously bored as hell about work. And he's like, "Hey, we have an opening at Stern. You want to jump in the ring?" And I'm like, "Yes." I had interned at toy companies, so I was kind of vaguely in the toy world, but I definitely wanted as exciting as gas tank panels could be, working on a product that has a much more
mainstream appeal, I'd say.
Yeah, it's got street appeal. You have a better chance of running into it on the street. People buy them for fun. People enjoy them for fun. It was much more my speed, and on a technical complexity level, it's much higher than what you get at a regular entry-level automotive job. So right up my alley. Stern probably gave me a little bit too much power being the Keith engineer at 23, but I thank them for that opportunity, and here I am 7 years later. So but I mean, you must have a lot of experience from your side show there with the robotics, right? I mean, building, like, I don't know, is it those kinds of robots that kind of fight each other and stuff like that? Yeah, it's not quite BattleBots. So actually,
BattleBot.
3 engineers. So myself, Elliot, Kevin Kaloje, kind of all got brought up through First Robotics. So we're all locally involved with Team 111 and 112. So it's industry engineers and high school students kind of working together on one created machine. And it's not quite BattleBots, but those machines are on the complexity level of a pinball machine. So for me, kind of to scratch that itch of doing that, get paid, and having fun is just the perfect storm to go work at Stern. So
awesome. I can hear that.
It's actually why I wasn't at TPF. We actually had a competition 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So,
all right. That's where the priorities are. Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, unfortunately, my hobby took precedent, but here we are.
Yeah, I mean, you need to honor that work-life balance, right? I don't know. Are you talking, Emoto? We can't hear you.
Yeah. How did you do in the competition?
We've had 2 competitions so far. We took finalists in both this year.
Hey.
So we're qualified for World Championships in 2 weeks. So that'll be another week-long adventure down in Texas. So.
And these are robots that are like battling each other to the death. Right?
It's not BattleBots. It's kind of hard to explain because it's the game that we play changes every year. But so it's a new robot every year, new challenge, new kind of adventure to go down. Actually, fun fact: the Godzilla building is derived from a mechanism we did on our 2019 robot.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. I was going to be like, is there a translation with the inspiration?
The crossover is actually higher than you might think. But I kind of got that robot mechanism figured out, and then it was like, okay, how do I adapt this concept, this architecture into a game? And I mean, the Godzilla building was like the perfect. There's a reason that was the first thing on the game, because I'm like instantly. He pitches that idea. I go, oh, I've done that before, and then I bring it into my professional life.
Oh, it's rad.
That is
kind of a perfect pipeline, yeah.
Yeah, I think this is generally really good for the industry because you came in completely untainted by like the history of pinball, right? You just been building your mechs for your robots, just applying that to pinball, and you come out with these like, I mean, the Drake building in Godzilla. I mean, nobody ever seen that coming out of Stern before, right? So I think this is
it's diversity of experience is a good thing. You know, pinball, especially with having such a big gap, right? I mean, Stern existed in the 2000s, but like with Williams going out in the late 90s, right? A lot of that technical staff went into slots, right? So, and then Stern existed, but was much smaller.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that pinball industry experience kind of left the industry in a way.
Yeah.
And Stern and George and the Stern crew's done a great job of kind of trying to rebuild that 90s environment of high creativity, high effort. You know, everyone has a passion and make sure the product is as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
But on top of that, you know, that was 25 years ago, right? Like you need to start fostering that next generation of engineers and game designers and artists and all that. To make sure that there's still pinball in 25 years. So that's kind of where I see my role of the company, Elliot's role of the company, Kevin's role of the company.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you know, we're bringing back some of the 90s Williams guys. You know, Mark Guidarelli's at Stern. Eddie Hicks is an old Williams guy. You know, coming back in to kind of bridge that gap, that 25-year gap, pass the knowledge on, and set us up for the next 25 years.
We're set up good. That's what I want to say.
Yeah. It's a good time for pinball.
Yeah, it's a good time to be alive if you're a pinball enthusiast. That's for sure.
Yeah, no, it's a ton of fun.
So do we want to talk about the? Right. So what did you say?
Before we move on to the next mech, I have a few questions in the chat I wanted to bring up. One we just got was saying they're currently an engineering student in college, one semester away from declaring a major for their bachelor's. Harrison, what was your specific degree that you graduated with?
So I'm a Purdue West Lafayette Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering. So, you know, again, I had done robotics in high school. I kind of knew, you know, 15, that's what I wanted to do. Got accepted to Purdue, went through my engineering degree, ended up in Amsterdam, then ended up at Stern. So, you know, pinball is one of those, it's like truly multidisciplinary, right? The big pushes for STEM and STEAM. Pinball is like the perfect blending of, you know, hardcore engineering, hardcore physics, math, some aesthetics, right? I always say that the A and B, it's art, but I always say it's aesthetics, right? Like, there is an industrial design element to this job to make sure a building looks like a building, a boat looks like a boat. You know, what the player contacts is the right feel and touch and all that. So pinball it's so diverse what you need to do. Like, I'm not making, you know, sump pumps for your house, right? Like, it's something that you actually need to take thought in how it looks, how it works, how it performs. So I mean, really, there's a ton of different ways to get into the pinball industry, a ton of different paths you can take, whether it's on the programming side, electronics, mechanical, art. It's really about just doing what you're passionate about and then trying to figure out how to parlay that into a career you're passionate about.
Absolutely. And just 15-year-old Harrison, who was obsessed with robots, what was his like dream job? Like, you knew you wanted to do something with robots, but what in your mind?
Yeah, at 15, I was still probably on the I'm going to go build rockets and shoot stuff into space train.
Yeah. So like the next Terminator.
Yeah. It turns out shooting stuff into space is kind of like making panels for gas tanks. So, you know, it is exciting. It's glamorous when the thing goes up on a rocket, but it's 10 years to get there. So,
have you shot a lot of rockets up into space?
I
We
have
don't have to
shot
talk
none.
about legal or not legal.
Yeah,
Like,
15-year-old Harrison is probably pretty disappointed in 30-year-old Harrison. But here we are.
Bottle rockets, baby.
Yeah.
Awesome. Another thing with the electrical engineering, from Uncle Steve Areno said, with the Spike 2 system, a lot of components are same from game to game, but is there, what type of work for custom work for game-specific mechs? Like, what challenges are there for the electrical engineering side?
Yeah, so Spike is inherently like a base platform, right? It's a processor, it's a power distribution board, it's a core node system that lets us reconfigure our machines to best suit whatever that game is. Within that, like a core node has a certain set of capabilities that it's capable of doing, right? It's got X number of coil drives, Y number of lamps, Z number of switches, right? A lot of the Spike work is either on the firmware side, right? Adding new features to core nodes so the available inputs and outputs can do a certain thing on a game. That's more on that's Mark Guidarelli's systems team that leads that up. On the electrical side, there is making sure all the harnesses are balanced to what a specific core node can handle, making sure the switches that have to communicate to certain coils are all on the same nodes. And then most of the custom work is stuff like lamp boards, specific switch inputs, motor drive boards, stuff like that. Like prime example is the Godzilla building stepper was ground up custom built specific for the Godzilla mech, that Godzilla building mech. So that was a really concentrated, hardcore, iterative electrical engineering design process to get that board up to where it is. There's some other future ones I can't discuss that are in the pipe right now. That'll be on Elwyn 7. But that's where all that hardcore electrical work actually happens. So yeah.
Blink twice if it's another monster game.
Stop. Get out of here. You're going to get us canned. All right, moving on. All right, what's next? What are you looking at up there, Michael?
No, I want to ask about the mini playfield. So, but is this your first upper mini playfield? If we go through the games here.
It depends if you count Foo Fighters or not for me.
Yeah. So you designed a Foo Fighters one.
Yeah, I started out. I did the first probably 12 months on Foo Fighters before rolling off onto Jaws.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So things are starting to make sense to me here now, because I've proclaimed the Foo Fighters upper playfield be the best upper playfield ever made in pinball. Ever. It's amazing how many shots are up there. I haven't played the Jaws Premium enough yet to kind of have an opinion on it, but it makes sense now that you were behind that.
Yeah, so again, that's kind of the macro micro divide between game design and engineering, right? So Jack was the conceptual force behind that Foo Fighters upper playfield, right? He wanted the spinner, he wanted the target, wanted that diverter.
Yeah.
That was Jack, right?
It was okay. Yeah.
Just as with Keith, right? You get on the playfield, you make a shot, you get off the playfield, flow with the ramp and the spinner up there. That was Keith, right? So my job is making that dream, right, a reality.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing is, like, even if the designers say, I want 10 shots on my mini playfield, I mean, I would kind of start sweating a little bit there, right? Because you don't have
show me how it's possible. Right? That's where that goes, right?
Yeah. Because there's a lot of shots on the Jaws mini playfield there.
There's a lot of ways out.
And there's a lot of ways out as well. Like, that's the exciting thing about this. Yeah. I think we talked about that when we had Keith on the horn. But how did this all come together? Like the placement of it, it kind of like goes out in a little bit the back of the billboard or the backboard there, and it's kind of in a bit of a weird position as well. But it blends in really good in the whole thing.
All right, Keith's gonna kill me for this. I'm actually bringing up what Keith hands me, just for just for some context.
Oh yeah, please do, please do. So yeah. So I mean, I'm always interested in understanding like the dynamics between
Yeah, so
a
this is
designer and
so this is what Jaws looked like in June of 22.
oh wow. Oh, there's that organic chum line as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
there's
like
a lot of juicy details here.
Cool.
yeah, so I mean, this was the original upper drain with a weird kink and flipper base. There was before that big ramp into the harpoon lane on the left existed. There was like a dump into this left orbit.
Oh, okay.
You'll actually notice there's a whole ramp right here.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Just
cool.
sucks, right? That never happened.
I mean, not cool.
Yeah, big orbit shot. So like, I mean, this is where we start, right? Like we built this version of this game, and then play it, shoot it, learn from it, figure out what sucks, figure out what doesn't, come up with new ideas. Prime example is the whole, like there's drop target bank over here, which eventually moved down.
So the harpoon lane is not even in this version, right?
No, yeah. So that harpoon lane was a complete happy accident while we were building and shooting that first whitewood.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had the concept for the cross playfield shot to the drops, but we built this with the drop target and no ball guide here because we didn't have the ball guide yet. So all of a sudden, there's a big opening above this, and we go, oh crap, there could be another shot there, right?
Yeah.
So then we take that, we lean into it, we make it real, we build another version of the game, and keep going.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome
yeah,
because the harpoon lane is like, I think that's one of the best features of the game. One of the most fun shots because when the ball is coming down there, it's coming down so fast and you need to it's so difficult to set up the next shot from that, right? So you cannot get on your toes because this is it.
Yeah. So on this version, there was a scoop that actually fired at the harpoon instead of the upvote setup, and that just wasn't fun, right? So we didn't do it, right? That's just what it is.
Yeah.
So, no, I mean, but you start early, you kill your darlings, you build something better, and you keep going out. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for sharing. But here's the real thing.
Yeah, so this is where we landed. So this is the full, 3D model. My main things here, right? Starting with the Foo Fighters mini playfield, I was trying to figure out a better mini playfield mounting system, right? Something that's easy, repeatable, keeps it level to the main playfield, so you don't have to level two different playfields to each other.
Yeah.
So the version I did for Foo Fighters didn't ship. Eddie Hicks ended up redoing that and improved it significantly. And then this is my iteration off of what Eddie did to mount it. So it's just 3 fasteners, right? So if you need to remove your mini, you take the ramp off that goes over it, and then under this front plastic, there's a single screw here. And then there's 2 of these that go through the back panel. So you take those 2 nuts off, that screw out, the whole mini playfield comes straight up and out of the game.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was very surprised, again, when I was putting all the plastic protectors in at the one in Texas. And I went to Kyle because I had no idea. I just went straight to Kyle. I was like, how do I take this out? And he was like, these 2 screws, this screw, these 2 things, and it just lifts out. Unplug it, lifts right out. And I was like, wow, that was super simple.
Yeah,
easily.
That's one of the complexities of mini playfields, right? Is they're so feature dense, right? You got stand-ups, you got flippers, you got spinners, right? With that being over another pinball machine, you need to make that as serviceable as possible.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
There's multiple ways to do that. Like Foo Fighters famously has that really long flipper shaft on its mini playfield. Because with the ramp on Foo, there just wasn't room to put the flipper mech on the bottom of the mini. So Eddie went in, took what I did, started iterating on it, and then generated the mini flipper system that's on Foo. Jaws, we didn't really have that problem, right? We had space under the mini playfield to put the flipper mech. So that's just a regular standard flipper mech, kind of with the coil rearranged to fit in the space we had.
That's amazing. Usually there are those long, weird rod flippers.
Yeah, part of that is just reducing specialty components, right? If we want to make this the most cost-effective package to get the most amount of features into a game, step 1 is reducing those weird specialty one-off parts just to build it out of commodity items, right? And nobody can tell, right? oh no, they didn't use a 6-inch long flipper shed. Like nobody can tell that.
No.
So why would we spend the money on that, right? So it's one of those. You have to take all those little micro efficiencies all over the game. So that's how you end up with another mech in the game. Is you find $1 here and $2 there, and 30 cents here, right? And that stuff adds up.
It's pretty awesome.
Case in point, like this, the spinner mech up here is literally the same assembly.
Let me get on it.
This spinner assembly is like literally the same as the one on the fishing reel, right? We just duplicated it up, and the mech was engineered such that it didn't care what direction it spun, so we could double dip on those parts, double our volumes, reduce our costs, and end up with 2 mechs in the game versus doing something custom. So
yeah, that's one of my favorite things. Like it's so well composed with the sound effects, and like it goes so well with the game, those reels, and it's just a simple thing, right? It's just 2 spinning discs basically.
Where did this originate from? These mechs, the spinners?
They're kind of an evolution. It's an evolution of the helicopter spinner on Jurassic Park, actually.
Oh, okay.
So it's literally the exact same extensor board and magnet from that. It kind of repackaged and reformatted to be a playfield level spinner.
Right.
One adjustment I want to point out, so you can kind of see here on my screen at least.
Yeah.
There's this big nut up top, and then a hex shaft, and then this rubber ring here.
Right.
One of the things we found through playing the game was, just the combination of whatever bearing and bushing you get may not have the desired play on your game that you might expect it to have. So we designed in this kind of compression joint there to change so that an end user can adjust how much energy from the paddle gets transferred into the shaft for how much spinning actually happens on the bearings.
I can feel that. Right?
So you adjust it to make it tighter on the.
Yeah. It's basically how it's a
more
clutch. It's
tension.
effectively a clutch on the mechanism of, I hit the ball with this much energy. I want this much to actually go into rotational versus slip, that sort of thing. So our factory adjustment is if you go full tight and go 1 complete turn loose on this joint. But you may find in your games that you may need to go up or down some fraction of a turn to make it play correctly.
Nice. How does the spinner mech register? Is it optos as well, or where does it score the points? Or...
Yeah, so that's right here. So this is a magnetic switch assembly. So this little sensor package on here basically opens if it gets a north pole and closes if it sees a south pole. So the magnet we have here is a specialty magnet that's it's called diametrically magnetized. So instead of them sticking end to end, they stick side to side. So the left half of this is a north pole and the right half's a south pole. So as it spins, it shows that sensor north pole, south pole, south pole. And that rise and fall is what actually triggers the sensors.
Whoa, that's cool.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's...
wow,
it's,
hold on. Yeah, you're doing it on the screen.
The little LED says when it goes. And
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, specialty magnet, specialty sensor, but you end up with a non-contact switching package. It isn't quite as physically large as what an optical arrangement would get you.
So it's just reading the magnetism from that?
It's reading the magnetic field up and down, the polarity of the magnets.
Has that been used in other games?
Yeah, so we did this exact same thing on Jurassic Park.
Cool.
That was kind of
For
a sideshow on Jurassic Park, but the Jeep was optical, but it was the helicopter spinner on the premium on the shooter line.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Wow.
Does that actually register on Jurassic Park? I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
It's only on the premium elite. One thing, so there's another, that's actually not the only magnet on this game, or sensing magnet.
What else?
On the Sharp mech, probably just to the left of what you're looking at, on that crank, the actual shark up down, there's this black horseshoe board.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that also has a magnetic switch. So this is a different type of sensor that doesn't look for north-south. It just looks for, is there a magnet here?
Oh.
So that's another non-contact, high repeatability sensor. The big reason for the magnetic sensors, right, is there's no risk of dirt.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So on an optical horseshoe,
yeah.
if you get coil dust or rubber dust or something like that that builds up in the horseshoe opto, you have effectively a broken switch, right? It takes the game down. So if you go magnetic, you end up with no risk of, like, the worst thing that can happen to this is the magnet falls off, right? And it's a magnet on a piece of steel, so what's the chances that's actually going to happen? So you completely circumvent the dirt problem of optical sensors.
So where is the magnet? Point it again.
Is it that?
It's this tiny
Those little black. Yeah.
It's this tiny little part in blue that I just clicked on it. That's attached to the crank.
That's that
He's
guy,
like
right?
trying to focus on it. Too.
Yeah, it's not focusing.
Focus.
Yeah, and that's actually tech that we developed back on
That's cool.
Avengers. Yeah, so the disc scoop for the subway entrance on Avengers was the first place that got used. And that technology has been brought up forward into, it's on Avengers, it's in Godzilla, it's on Fu. It's not Fu, it's on Jaws. Yeah, so it's kind of all over the place. Well,
Where's the magnet on the spinners?
on the spinners. Well, it's on the horizontal spinners. Our regular spinning targets are optical now.
Right.
Just to avoid the micro switch issue. Yeah, so like micro switch, right, means it's cheap, but you have to adjust it. They're easy to break. They're sensitive, right? Optical is non-contact, right? So there's low friction, high repeatability, no moving parts. But then you have a dirt issue. So magnetic's kind of the next step. It's resilient to dirt. It's non-contact. But you have the problem of a pinball steel. Most of a game steel, so you can't use it everywhere. So kind of, when I'm talking about the next 25 years of pinball, right? That future is, it's non-contact sensors somewhere between optical and magnetic, just to avoid microswitch reliability, sensitivity, adjustment problems.
Oh yeah, and I can see your opto on the spinner, regular spinners. That's cool.
Yep. The optical ones actually have an interesting problem, right? Because they count twice. So, right, they count on the top of the target and the bottom of the target.
Oh right.
So there's actually, you have to declare what the program is. I'm using an optical spinner here because it affects game rolls, right? Like if we did Iron Maiden with the power spinners and it was 40 hits, that actually turns into 20 when you go to an optical spinner. So that's kind of where the fusion between the game design, the programmer, and the engineer that's what it looks like, right?
So when you get double spinners, it just turns off and counts both.
Yeah, I think, is it Beatles? There's a game that they actually only count every other hit for that exact problem because the game was balanced with mechanical spinners, and instead of making it 500 hits, just screw it, it's 250, and they just count every other switch.
Nice. A good fix.
Yeah.
Sweet. All right. We didn't look at the awesome chum bucket yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh man. Chum bucket.
Love the chum bucket.
Yeah, look at the chum.
It's the cutest little chum bucket. I think the only complaint I've heard is that it doesn't actually spit chum onto your playfield.
Well,
Yeah,
I think that's a good
unfortunately,
feature.
Yeah.
I think all operators rejoiced, but
Yeah, that was a fun one because we did a couple different ideas there. It was a shark cage at one point. I think on the layout I showed you earlier, it was still a shark cage. Like that was just too big, too much mass. It was coil driven at one point, and that was just unnecessary, right? So we ended up with this It's as dumb simple as you could possibly get, right? So the actual mech is literally just a stand-up target with a giant arm.
Oh, it's
Nice.
awesome.
That's like all it is, right? And then you just attach to the bucket and move on, right? And just the impact energy of the target face of the captain ball hitting that bracket is enough to shake and give the kinetics Keith was looking for.
Yeah, so there is no captive ball in there.
There is.
There is?
There is.
one.
Yeah,
Oh,
there
there's
is.
The eagle on
Yeah.
this side.
Yeah, I can't see
think-
it. Okay.
There's a slit on the other side.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Oh,
that
'cause
takes
the
the
ramps
record. I think that takes the record for second shortest captive ball on a string game.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
I
'cause
see
it's
it now,
just
yeah.
going like what, a couple millimeters?
Yeah,
Quarter inch, maybe.
it goes 305 thousandths.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Nice.
I think that's second only to the Magna Grab on Godzilla for shortest ball path for a captive. Yeah.
Yeah, it took me probably a full year of owning that game that was actually a captive ball in there to begin with.
Yeah. All right, I see a chat about Home Depot bucket. I was fully aware how much it looked like a Home Depot bucket. So the first like 20 of them were bright orange.
Yeah.
But it's a bucket. I mean, how many different types of buckets could there possibly be, right?
Oh, yeah. You should actually have that as a mod or something, some giveaway or an orange bucket.
If there was a Home Depot in Amity, that show bucket would have been bright orange. I'm telling you.
Yeah, straight up. That's great.
So
Awesome.
yeah, that's simple, Mike. Nothing too crazy there.
I think that covered most of the mechs, right? What did we miss? Did we miss anything? There's so many.
Yeah. Are you involved in like bending all the wire forms and stuff like that, or is that someone else on your team?
It depends where in the project we are.
Yeah.
Stern has a full internal prototyping model shop with a very talented, model making crew.
Yeah.
We recently got like about 2 years ago. This is kind of the first game went through it. We got a fiber laser in house. We're doing all of our own sheet metal and forming. So it's written. Me doing robotics and stuff. I tend to be a little bit more hands-on than a typical engineer out of engineering school. So for me, it's like, I need to see if this works. I'll just go cut it and form it and find out.
Yeah.
30 minutes rather than waiting 2 weeks for an outside vendor or the shop to get through and make parts. So
This I hit that upper playfield ramp shot, and it loops around and like comes whipping back down at you, and then spits back up the playfield. I was like, wait, what just happened?
Yes, it goes out through the spinner there, right?
Yeah, it comes out and goes back that way.
That was a really fun one. So that has probably 5 or 6 iterations before we got it where we wanted it to be. Make it a big thing, right? Is anyone can make one game work, right? That's not that hard. Making, multiple thousand of games work
and thousands.
is really freaking hard. That is monumental, right? So, we may have to make things on a whiteboard play a little bit more aggressively than we may want them to, just knowing that gives us the safety and headroom that, the entire production run will work out of the box. A prime example, right, is the fishing reel shot on the right side of the game. A lot of people are going to find when they open their game for the first time, this thing just fires the ball straight into this ball guide. Right?
Yep.
It just does that.
Yeah. Did that to us for a little bit of time, and then it wore in.
Yeah, exactly. So, you play the game 25 times, right? You get a little bit of dirt buildup, you get a little bit of wear on the ball guides, you get a little bit of wear in the bearings, and it kind of burns in, and all of a sudden that shot is money every time, right?
It's such a good feeling shot too, and it does that little loop around.
It's like had we designed it so it did that out of the box, you wouldn't be making the harpoon lane, you'd be hitting the pop number every time. Right?
Oh, sure.
So it's not always about, some of the challenge is not about designing the game that works out of the box. It's about designing the game that works 2 weeks later on the street.
Yeah.
So there is a bit of a break-in period on our product, just because there has to be, right? Ball's wild, so you gotta try to anticipate it.
Didn't take
Yeah,
too long
just-
for us. We
Yeah.
broke it in quick.
And like you're saying, all the environmental issues, not issues, but just that's life
Yeah.
with humidity and wood and
It's an
working with
organic
natural
it's an
materials.
organic product, right?
Right.
Organic product.
We talked about the chum line and the drop targets with that earlier, but one of the other things, could you, this is another thing, a very micro tweak with the boat coming down after Jaws lifts up and the boat comes down. Sometimes it hits the lip of the side of the plastic on the right side of the boat.
So that's a challenging one. There's a couple different things that we've done to address it. Unfortunately, a good chunk of the product already is left, so this is more going to be second.
No, yeah,
run,
and
but-
we've done, like I did it on my game, Matthew's done it on his, and it's a pretty simple adjustment, right? What would you recommend for those in the chat that haven't?
Yeah, so there's two issues that kind of we identified. One, Pat Powers and his crew will tell you right off the bat. If you take your white boat off, on some percentage of the games, these two nuts were not quite up to the torque spec that they should be at. So the whole boat can move relative to the hinge. So we've addressed that on the line. And then the other one tends to be these two posts here and there. That are reinforcing these wire bot guides so they don't deform out over time. Some of these are kind of leaned over a little bit, and then that leans over, touches the wire, pulls the plastic over with it, and this gap can end up a little bit tighter than we anticipated. So again, I hate to tell people to bend things, but literally, like, put your thumb in here and just kind of push that back a little bit, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, Matthew, what would you do to adjust our boats? Because mine works perfectly every time, it never catches. And I even have my cool color guard plastic protector over it.
What was happening at TPF is we put the color guards on and it was catching on the color guard. So it wasn't
the
really.
color guards we filed down.
Yeah, I filed down the color guard to kind of match the same little like cutout on the right side. That little like. Yeah. So I just had to file that down a little bit and it was fine.
Yeah, that's sort of problem is the stuff that crops up when you go from, like, we never saw that at all in the white ones, right? But we build 10 at production revision. So like when you go from 10 to 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, right? Like stuff like that you maybe didn't catch the outlier in development, that stuff comes up. So we try to do our best to make it right, and find adjustments and tweaks and make it more resilient as production continues.
No, it wasn't too scary. We did have like our gate was getting stuck on our Pro, and it was just like the wire that was going down, the switch was catching on the wire and just leaving the wire sticking up. And I was like, oh yeah, just move that out of the way, and we're good.
Yeah,
it's
rattles across country.
Yeah, just bouncing across the country.
Yeah, it's when you open a playfield like in SolidWorks. This is SolidWorks for everyone that's been asking.
Yeah.
It tells you how many parts it's opening, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 2,200 for Jaws.
My goodness.
So it's like, that's a lot of things to hit 100% perfect 100% of the time.
Yeah, totally.
Multiple thousand. So we have anyone that's on this factory tour. Has seen how many people are involved, how many levels of quality checks we have. So, no one's perfect, but we're getting better. So.
Yeah, then you put it in a box and bounce it across the country. Things will shake loose. It's just like, what are you going to do? Yeah.
So,
Super cool.
Very cool. Do you want to go ahead and stop sharing your screen here?
I got to show the next game.
Oh, wait, go back.
He is waiting. No.
Go back.
Oh my god.
Sweet. No, that was a great run through. We always have, I think this is all of our favorite PinTech Live deep dive, is just getting in the nitty gritty of all the mechs that y'all are coming out with, creating new ones and, recreating ones from our pinball or robot past.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I'll do a whole PinTech on robots at some point.
Yeah.
Had to, yeah.
That'd be
We
sweet.
want to come watch one of y'all's competitions.
Yeah, well, if you're in Houston, third week of April, we're at the Georgia Brown Convention Center. 600 teams. So.
Is it streamed on Twitch or can you watch it
I
live?
was gonna say, is it
will be.
streaming?
Yeah.
It will be. Yep.
Can I ask you what your objective is this time?
This year, it's like these 12-inch foam rings that you have to put into these various bowls to make things that work different points, right? Yeah, it's and then
So
there's
your robot has to pick up the ring and put it in certain spots.
Yeah, or shoot them.
They're
pretty big robots too. They're like a mini fridge is probably a good descriptor of the size.
Holy smokes!
Yeah. They do like 20 miles an hour. They're pretty intense.
That's awesome. It's like a speed
Wait, how
thing.
do-
You got to do it fast. Is it like timed or?
Yeah,
Is
it's
it-
time. It's all time. It's time modes, right? 3-on-3. It's some intense stuff.
That's
So,
awesome.
Yeah. Do you get any style points for the coolest robot, or is it just time?
There are awards for that.
Yeah.
There are
yeah.
awards for that. Yeah. I'll take the winner trophy any day though.
Dude, right?
Yeah.
Man, I want to go. What is it called? How do we look up this event?
It's the
I
first
wanna-
robotics competition. That's again
That's what it's called?
myself. Yeah, myself, Elliot Eisman, Kevin Koloje, have all. I actually got recognized last week in a Chicago competition by a guy in another team from Arkansas that's an operator, and connected the dots that I worked at Stern, and I'm like, oh, by the way, it's half the team works at Stern, so
Ah,
kind of cool to have worlds collide there.
Yeah.
that is good. All right. I'm dropping a link in the chat for
All right.
we can all
Sweet.
watch it.
A little cross promo action.
Yeah, that is
It's so neat.
awesome. What's like the age range of the robot builders go from?
Yeah, so the whole competition is it's adult. It's trying to expose high school students to real world industry, engineering,
Right.
and business practices early, right? So I mean the engineers are anywhere from 18 to 85, right? It's a very wide range of adults involved, and then high schoolers. So our team is about 15 engineers. I'm in charge of all the engineering efforts there, and then about 70 high schoolers.
Wow.
Yeah,
Super
it's
cool.
That's
it's
so
it's a big
amazing,
effort.
Harrison.
Yeah.
Wow. Thanks for doing that. You know, you're inspiring these kids' lives.
What the I in first stands for, believe it or not. So.
Nice. The inspiring. I love it. Wait, what does first stand for? All of it. Oh, I put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's something like I don't know.
The I's the most important part.
Yeah. So yeah, ton of fun. Highly competitive, very fun. A lot of crossover to pinball, so
I got it. Yeah.
Keeps the brain working, right? So,
Yeah.
Super rad.
Yeah, for inspiration and recognition of science and
there it is.
I can dig it. Very cool.
Yeah, I can see that. This stream turned into a robot stream.
Yeah.
There's good, like you said, there's good crossover.
It's excellent crossover.
Yeah,
Super exciting.
so like the robot stuff's cool, right? But it's the same skill set working in pinball. Right, it's the skills of teamwork and creation and technical application, that ultimately makes you a good engineer. So, it is a little weird to say, oh yeah, I do high school robotics, but like it develops everyone as good employees, good engineers, and ultimately super creative people. So, perfect pipeline to pinball.
So cool.
For anyone in Houston, that can people attend?
Yep, open to the public. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
huge. However big you think it is, it's bigger. So,
Wow.
Awesome. Well, we're getting close to our end time. Does anyone have any last questions for Harrison before we let him enjoy his night? How about you, Michael or Matthew?
Yeah, I'm sort of. I think we've exhausted all the topics here, and we've covered a lot of ground. So yeah, I just want to thank you so much for your time and coming on stream and telling us everything about you and in the game and Elvin number 7. So
Yeah.
Looking forward to it, man. Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Yeah. Anytime.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Harrison. We'll talk to you later. We'll see you on the Robotics stream.
Yeah.
We'll put it up at the arcade too. We'll run it.
Yeah,
Thank
for
y'all.
sure. Thank you. Have a good night.
Adios.
Alrighty. I'm gonna do a quick adjustment.
yeah, we're gonna put the game together here.
Yeah, and then everyone stick around. We're gonna do our giveaway raffle. We have some cool Marco swag and a Jaws promo banner to give away for y'all hanging out with us. So I dropped that link again in the chat. So sign up, and then we'll do a random giveaway. It really is. I mean, I love when we do the pro deep dives and we kind of go into the, like, storyline lore and the theme and where that came from and the inspiration behind the design and the rules. Super exciting stuff. But when we get down into like the mechs and seeing the CAD images and how those end up working on the playfield,
It's so cool.
It's next level stuff. It's so exciting.
Yeah, watching them like being able to move everything in the CAD too.
And everything's
like
so
how-
precise. Like this screw will go here, and it's this type of screw with this type of metal alloy in it because of this particular
washer
reason.
and this Loctite and
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Like switching to the carbon fiber backing for that one target to hold it up.
Well, and how the target like bends to make it thinner.
Right.
Like that's just crazy stuff.
Yeah, the
You would
highlight
never
was
think that, but
just
they have
seeing. The highlight was seeing the playfield as Keith gave it to him.
Yeah.
I think. I'm gonna go back and watch
that.
that.
That should be a shirt. That's
that
should be a shirt.
Be a really cool
Yeah,
shirt.
I'm gonna
Just
send
full
that to
screen.
Matt Henry at Free Go Watch, and
Make this a shirt, man.
there could be Jaws. That's hilarious.
Yeah. For sure. And it's cool. We have, for those who are asking in the chat, we have been doing these awesome PinTech Live deep dives with Stern Pinball since Avengers Infinity Quest, I think was our first one. And we actually had Harrison come in and that was his first stream with us. So the rest is history. You can find all of those on our Marco Pinball YouTube channel under the live archives. So we always do one on the pro, we always do one on the premium, and kind of our next big deep dive, which I don't even think I've told you this yet, Michael, but by the way, our next PinTech Live deep dive is a little bit different. We're gonna bring on Dwight and Brian, Dwight Sullivan and Brian Eddy from Venom. They just dropped their 1.0 code somewhat recently, I think last week or the week before. And so we want to explore that with them, and they want to come in and hype up of all the things that they did to the game now.
Oh, sweet! I got a million questions. They didn't answer
Nice.
any questions on the live stream that I had on YouTube, so that'd be fun.
That will, yeah. Now they're ready to answer those questions. I think finally getting over that hill. Will
Yeah,
be fun.
yeah.
But yeah, we
Sweet.
have them. You were able to stream and play with them at Southern Fried last year, which was super cool.
Yeah,
But we
that
never
was
did
awesome.
a kind of a formal sit down with here, and maybe we can get. I don't know how they. You know, one of the things we never really screen shared how they develop rules. If Dwight sits there on a computer with a playfield layout and draws on it, or
Yeah, we went into a few of those kind of details, how the interaction between a game designer and programmer work, but it was mostly very informal. It would be cool if they could kind of describe the processes more. more in detail. I think a lot of people are interested in that aspect of game design.
Or show some
At least
code.
I am.
You think they would show us code? Like the line
Oh, yeah.
that it takes you.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's too much secret sauce.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I mean, I'm like super interested in it, right? I was trying to kind of, when we were on the previous Jaws stream, I was trying to probe Elizabeth on, like, what programming language you're using, yada yada, like all the nitty gritty details, right? And at the end of the day, that's just like an implementation detail. Nobody cares about whatever. It's just like, well, I care. I care about the details.
No, yeah, there are people. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
So but we managed to squeeze out of her that it was C++,
hi,
right?
Elizabeth. She just
Yeah.
joined it.
Hey.
Oh,
We
she
just
did,
did
yeah.
Harrison. We just let him go. We had him for a nice over an hour and a half. So when this stream ends, you can watch the rerun.
Yeah. Speak of the devil and they appear.
Dwayne said the magnet sensor was in Godzilla. Any idea where? Oh yeah, where's the
Godzilla?
magnet?
Oh.
I don't. He was in Jurassic Park, the helicopter in Jurassic Park.
Right.
Yeah.
I can't remember where else he had stated that magnet sensor is. That too was also really cool, and I had no idea.
I didn't even know that interacted with the ball on Jurassic Park. That's how much I know about that game.
Right, the helicopter.
Yeah, but so what is spinning on Godzilla? I can't even recall what is spinning that would use such a sensor. But I mean, the magnet sensor on the shark doesn't spin
I
either,
don't
really.
know.
It's just
Oh,
an
it might be
axis.
it was on the building.
Oh, it was a building.
The
Yeah, okay.
stepper on the building, I think.
Yeah.
Might have been what he was saying. I can't remember.
Need to call him back in.
Yeah. Bring him back.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Elizabeth said, "Yay, C++."
Yes. Yeah, because she gave it away when she was talking about the working with pointers and basically pointed us a score to a random position in memory, right? And that gave her like random scoring. So that's kind of how we figure it out in the end.
Yeah. Oh, the rotating Mecha Godzilla mech for the magnet. We'll just have to watch. There was so much information. We have to all just rewatch this stream later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that was a ton.
Put out
more
more.
podcast form.
Yeah, that was a ton of information, and it was really cool that he could share his SolidWorks workspace. That was really cool to see.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm gonna set up. Did you guys want to set up to play a few games while we do the giveaways?
Let's do it.
Did everyone sign up for the giveaway? You too, Elizabeth, and any other Stern employee, if you are here and you want to sign up for our Marco giveaway, please put your name on the list. Everyone get a chance to win. Let me drop it. Alright, I'm dropping now. So we're gonna do 3 different giveaways. One will be for a Marco swag pack with a hat and some stickers. 2 will be our latest Dirty Donnie design shirt. Am I wearing it? Am I wearing it? Oh yeah, check it out. Okay. This one, this shirt here, nope, you're not going to see it because it's black on black. Just imagine this really cool Pinchantress design with Dirty Donnie. And that's our new Marco shirt. Hot off the press from Free Gold Watch. And then, of course, our third giveaway is the Jaws banner, which is what y'all are dying to have because it's so awesome. I want the Jeep Cherokee. Oh, that was at the other giveaway the other time. A Stern employees win an extra day of PTO. PTO for everybody. Yay. Signing up for giveaway, please. Yes, everyone sign up. I'm stalling. I'm trying to give you all some time to get in there. Just a quick little questionnaire. I am removing duplicates. Not that y'all are trying to hack the system or anything, but just in case, sometimes we forget to sign up. You sign up again.
Everyone wants to win your swag, Emoto. You know that.
I know,
Do
it's
anything
fun winning.
to get it.
It's fun to win. Okay, just signed up. Good, good, good. Glad you got in there, David. Right. Yep, I see. Oh, we just got a call.
Welcome aboard.
Just in the meantime.
Skill shot.
Oh wow, there's an upper playfield. That's how much I'll play this. Did you get a premium, Emoto?
Yes, I got the premium. I had to. I always look at what's gonna happen, and then I always just have to get the premium.
Do you have a premium Foo Fighters as well?
Although I got the Pro James Bond, so I have the Doctor Who. But yeah, I got the premium Foo Fighters. I had to. I got the premium Deadpool. I had to. I got the premium Godzilla. I mean.
Yeah.
We'll see about the next game. if I can like sleep at night with just it's too much FOMO with these
Right.
mechs, dude.
With
It's
the
Yeah.
like I need them in my life.
Yeah, I really like Jaws Pro though. I mean, I don't know. I haven't played the premium enough, but I think Jaws Pro you get a lot of games for the money.
I mean, yeah, it's super fun, but I just like all the visceral reactions of the jaws not being there on the playfield and then popping up.
Yeah.
It's so worth it. And then the orca boat, you know, the upper playfield, and it's really cool having it at the arcade because a lot of people are new to pinball for the very first time, and to have that sort of experience of like this jaws shark just pop out of the playfield. I just love watching them.
Yeah.
Their faces light up like, what just
Yeah.
happened? Like, holy shit.
Yep, and I have like the headphones on there too, so you can hear all the sound effects. Those are the Dance Dance Revolution and
Right.
PX games. Alright, so okay, we're gonna do our first giveaway. Let me pull my shirt. Where's it go?
Chalkboard. No.
Yay. All right, this first one will be for a Marco hat swag pack. See who the lucky winner is.
Yeah, so Jaws is loud apparently. They can't hear you.
Oh, they can't hear me? Oh, because you guys are too loud. Hold on. Thomas 01. Hold on. What if how about now?
Yeah, you're the loudest.
Can you guys?
Yeah. I can see that.
They're drowning me out.
Yeah.
Charles is so loud. My gosh, what do you have that on? Like 43?
Of course.
Yeah.
You would like to be able to hear the games here.
I know. It's like the war we always have at TPF for fun. Like everyone just like everyone starts at like 14 and then by the end of the weekend everyone's at like 46.
Show volume at max.
It's so terrible, but it cannot be helped.
Well, it's like
Thomas, oh, you won.
every time we get back from Golden State, like we turn on all the games in the arcade and all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, show volume, like turn everything back to everything's at 1 million.
Yep. All right, Thomas, congratulations. You won the Marco swag pack. Shoot me your shipping address to marcotv@marcopinball.com and we'll send that out to you. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Godzilla Premium is a must. I agree. All right, we're gonna do another one. Oh, Chuck. Oh, Chuck. I'm gonna rush for your lovely wife. All right, this is for the brand new Marco Dirty Donnie design, the Pinchantress shirt. And the winner is Spunky. Oh, long time friend of the show, Spunky. This might be one of your first wins. Congrats, Spunky. I'm so happy for you. I'd love to give you one of our new Pinchantress shirts. So let me write that in here. I'm going like super laggy. All right. Is Chuck still here? Tracy says, like, hi, Tracy, I'm sorry. Chuck's obsessed with pinball. Nothing new. We all knew this. All right. Spunky. Yay, Spunky. Thanks for interacting with us in the chat and always being around, dude. We really appreciate it. Okay, the last one. So everyone can enjoy the rest of their night. Chuck can do some grocery shopping, and someone can put this awesome Jaws promo banner in their arcade. Let's see who it's gonna be. Oh man, I'm sorry, Robert. You'll have to enter next time. We had the link earlier on in the show. But any deep dive we do, we always do giveaways, so just keep an eye out for that. And the winner is going to be Daryl Decker. Congratulations, Daryl. Are you in the chat? That is the one rule to rule them all is you need to let us know that you're in the chat to get your prize. Let's see, Daryl Decker, are you here? Daryl? If he answers. Alright, we'll let it sit there for a second. Congrats everyone for hanging with us. Thanks so much for hanging out with us. Again, we will be at Midwest Gaming Classic in Milwaukee, Wisconsin this weekend. We're setting up Sunday. We're setting up Thursday in a few days. We're going to have over 40, I think it's 44 total Stern games at our booth with our collaboration with them and Kingpin Games. And 22 of them will be Jaws, pros and premiums. We're going to have
the LFS stance enforcer.
We are going to have
Boxed up, ready to
the
go.
LFS stance enforcer. So see us at the VIG after party on Saturday night. We run a wacky pinball tournament that I think Dan now calls it the Six Flags Pinball Chaos Tournament or something like that. You win Six Flags tickets. So whoever has the highest score on 6 different games, you each win a pair of Six Flags tickets, and one of them will be using the now famous Lyman Sheets stance enforcer, which they got slayed on last weekend. Was it last weekend? Oh man.
Sore
Their
thighs,
legs were
balls.
like,
Yeah.
if you follow Lynn's Arcade on Twitch, you can see some of the clips that we were all sitting there clipping, laughing our butts off as we were watching y'all stretch. No one ripped holes in their pants, which is surprising.
Yeah, I'm quite surprised as well, yeah.
Oh, roller pinball? Oh yeah, that's right. Right? Is it? Really? I feel like I do remember this. Cool. Awesome. All right, y'all. That's it. We will see y'all at MGC. See you, Obi, in the flesh. Yes, thank you for joining, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, folks. See you later. Bye.
Go do something fun.
Yeah.
Go do something fun with your lives, like play Jaws Premium.
Go play some more Jaws
thanks.
Premium.
Yeah, we're opening the arcade now.
All right, see y'all later. Roller Pinball's the winner. That was Daryl.